Have you ever watched a movie with someone and ended up with a disagreement over what has transpired in the film? I just had one of those experiences, and it involves the little things. The 2021 film starring Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto. I first heard about the little things from my stepfather. He kept talking about seeing this ad on TV for a new film with Denzel that he wanted to see. He always says Denzel never appears in a bad film. He always chooses good material to star in. I haven't seen all of Denzel's films, but I'm sure every actor has been in at least one bad film at some point in their careers. Looking up the little things, I saw the rest of the cast and went from,
"You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention."
We finally sat down to watch it together. It was with myself, my mom, and my stepdad. Me, being a film student and a movie buff, expected a smart, twist and turn, thrilling detective movie like Seven or The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo remake, or hell, even a Knives Out or Saw type detective film, but with less theatrics, obviously. My expectations were maybe too high, thinking it's going to be something completely iconic or something stand out. It was like I was sitting down to begin a Steven Soderbergh film, expecting to see Quentin Tarantino's style. I don't know who directed The Little Things, so I wasn't expecting a specific director's style, but when I think something is a crime thriller, I think The Bone Collector, Zodiac, Blowout, Silence of the Lambs, etc. The Little Things follows the story of two cops trying to track down a serial killer in the 1990s. And you wonder why I was thinking of Seven as the movie started. After seeing someone escape a possible killer, we are shown Joe Deacon, a sheriff of a more small town, middle of nowhere type area outside of Los Angeles. Joe gets asked to go to Los Angeles to pick up evidence for a case up here. While visiting his old stomping grounds, he ends up getting pulled in by Rami Malek's character Jim Baxter as a ride-along to Jim's current serial killer investigation. Joe's little baggage ends up adding fuel to the fire of his own obsession, an obsession of a previous unsolved murder case that he investigated. The little things take Joe and Jim to conclude that Albert Sparma, played by Jared Leto, killed all of those victims. After several days of watching and following Albert gets Jim alone, convincing him that he will show him where the current missing victim is, as Jim, in a brief but tired fit of anger, ends up attacking and killing Albert, leaving Jim with a similar little baggage as Joe has had since the beginning of the film. The Little Things is a good film. Could it have been better? Yes. Could it have been worse? Absolutely. We got to count our blessings. Throughout the film, my little movie buff brain was running, saying, where is the something that is going to make this film stand out? What is going to be the thing that cements this film among other memorable films? Why did this film get greenlit? When you compare it to Seven's budget being adjusted for inflation, The Little Things is half of that budget. That's a very easy way to see why the studio approved this film. I think almost any film that's low budget can be made if you have these three as the main cast, you know? But I feel the main reason it got made was the script and this one big subtle build up to this little what if twist that can be easily overlooked if you get caught up with the little things. Albert was not the killer. Albert was not a killer, period. That is the little thing that me and my stepdad had a different opinion on. He believes Albert was the killer, and it now means there is one less bad guy in the world. Where I believe Jim killed an innocent man. a deranged lover of real-life crime that gets off on the idea of it and is a bit of a dick messing around with the police, but he's not the actual killer. That is the brilliance of the little things. It's ace in the hole. It's head in a box. It's standout, almost hidden reveal. The little thing that people would remember when the film gets brought up. There is no evidence to prove Albert committed the murders. The one witness who could testify that got chased at the beginning of the film and survived was completely unsure that she could identify the one that went after her.
If I showed you some photos, do you think you'd be able to identify him?
Maybe. Probably not.
She says this before she comes across his headshot in a group of photos. When she saw the photo, she didn't say, that was him, or it could be this guy. She hesitated because she recognized the guy from several minutes ago. Hell, I would have had the same reaction as her, and that would be without me experiencing a life and death chase situation. The only connections Albert had to the murders is that the repair company that he works at was supposed to fix the fridge in the apartment of one of the victims. Even the first initial reactions of Joe and Jim were like, this is a long shot.
You might want to run these names. A couple of possibles. They were working in appliance stores in Julie Brock's neighborhood. It's a long shot.
Aren't they all?
Because of how loose the connection is. Albert previously came in and confessed to a different murder just to be freed the next morning because he had a solid alibi of where he was during the murder. He's just that kind of guy. Other than that, we all assume during the movie he's the killer with the very sus way he talks and acts around the police. The way he was is the reason Joe and Jim pinned him as the killer. They were blinded by the little things. His reactions to the crime scene photos, his trivial first-hand knowledge of crime details and locations, which he uses to mess with the detectives, and his playfulness and enjoyment of being in the hot seat. He may have not been a good, helpful citizen, but he was no killer. The entire movie is spent from the point of view of Joe and Jim. Joe was a great city cop, but accidentally shot a surviving victim at a crime scene. All his friends in the police force helped him cover up his mistake. Then he had marriage and health issues, got a divorce, and a job suspension that forced him to be deputy in the middle of nowhere. He's been dealing with that fateful night ever since, and his obsession to find the one who did the horrible crimes in the first place is almost at a tipping point. Jim, on the other hand, is a working man, and what appears to be some little marriage and family-related issues, but that's what tends to happen when you're a police detective. Jim has been tracking and trying to solve a series of murders for a while now, and he's had pressure on him from the department to figure it out fast. Jim's job is on the line, and he has no suspects, and the one person he brought in for questioning killed himself. Joe plants the idea in Jim's head that Albert is potentially the killer, but Joe doesn't even need to convince Jim, because when Jim meets Albert for the first time, he sees the same thing Joe sees.
You get the feeling he's enjoying this?
Oh, yeah.
Pineapples and jalapenos, please.
From the interrogation scene onwards, Joe and Jim both believe that he must be the killer. As the audience follows them, you see more and more suspicious activity from Albert. You end up believing more and more that he is the killer. The filmmakers highlighting a secret box that Albert keeps in his apartment filled with newspaper clippings. On a first-time viewing, if you believe that Albert's the killer, you will see a red beret hair clip in this very brief showing of the inside of the box. This would link Albert to the woman who went missing earlier in the film. They even have Joe acknowledge after that he didn't really see anything.
He's got a box full of knickknacks and souvenirs.
By any chance, did you see a red beret?
Red beret?
Yeah, Rhonda Rathman was wearing one when she disappeared.
Give me 5 more minutes, I can find out for you.
It's almost like he's dead set that Albert is the killer. and that he's gonna find evidence even if there is none. Remember, Joe has been seeing things that's not really there throughout the film. In the pressure moment of breaking into Albert's apartment with the entire case on the line and police suddenly swarming the area, it's easy to see that Joe thought he might have saw the evidence in that little box, but because of the situation, he didn't get a good look, but for the audience, it's enough to convict Albert. The end of the film reveals nothing was in that box. No newspaper murder clippings, no red hair clip from the woman who went missing earlier in the film. In the end, Joe had to send Jim a red hair clip he bought from the store in order to give him peace of mind from the little things that would have messed with his mind and affected him for the rest of his life. Joe had to, because he knew the little things would have teared Jim apart, just like it did to him. All the little things they put in this movie lead you to believe that Albert is the killer, and you are just waiting for the moment where they are able to convict Albert of those crimes, but that moment never happens. Thanks to a provoked assault by Jim, any chances of proving Albert is the killer or innocent is now up to debate for as long as you hang on to the little things. From a scriptwriting perspective, if Albert was supposed to be the only suspect all throughout the movie and then confirms he's the killer by the end of it, the movie would be kind of pointless. He gets frontier justice instead of fair due process, but the movie works so much more better with Albert actually not killing anybody, and he is just a crime-obsessed sociopath that gets off on it. He had these two police officers tail him non-stop for the last couple days. In the digging holes scene, Albert is just trying to prove a point. The more I see this movie, the more I think about this movie, the more I end up believing it when he says,
"You want the truth? I've never killed anybody in my entire life. If you believe me, we can get in the car and we can drive straight home, maybe even stop for tacos. If not..."
And he doesn't know where the missing woman is. He's just fucking with them at this point because he knows he's not the killer. Why do you think he comes off so cocky? To be fair, on my first time viewing of the film, I thought he was lying when he said I haven't killed anyone. It wasn't until later I thought maybe he wasn't lying. He was using the truth as a shield.
There's nothing you can do about it.
But then again, maybe the movie purposely planted that possibility. Maybe instead of thinking he's innocent due to the lack of evidence, maybe he's guilty because of the lack of evidence. But that would mean it could be anyone. It could mean the forensic expert could be the killer. It could have been Joe. It could have been Jim. It could have even been
Nosferatu!
Any of you other girls have bites?
Carrie Holland.
One of them, why?
Similar to a case up north, that's all.
Also, imagine if scriptwriting wise they were like, let's have a crime thriller movie where the only killers were the heroes and the main antagonist is actually innocent. Maybe it's like the true killers were the friends we made along the way. But seriously, I want to know if you have seen The Little Things and what did you think of the movie? Do you think Albert is the killer or not? Is there another option I didn't see because I got obsessed over the wrong little things? Please let me know in the comments. I want you to have a nice day or night or whatever time you watch this. Have a nice whenever. Thank you very much for watching. Now that I think about it, Albert is guilty because he owns a copy of Helter Skelter. Case closed.